Hi, I'm Virginia from Write Clinic, and this is the Medical Writing Uncut podcast. Today we've got a special episode with Hannah. Hello, Hannah.
Hi.
So Hannah did a medical degree in the UK, and then she got into medical writing and moved to Germany, which is where I am as well. So it's very cool to have another healthcare professional that went into medical writing and lives in Germany. And she also runs a community for healthcare professionals who are looking for alternative careers. So if medical writing is one of your options and you want to see what else is out there, then Hannah is your girl. She's an entrepreneur and she's built several businesses over the past few years. And now she runs health career transitions. So now we're going to get to it. So Hannah, tell me about you.
Hi, Virginia. Thank you so much for having me on the podcast. Your work is great, and I've been following you for a long time, so it's an honor to be on the podcast. And yeah, your introduction very, very clearly summed up my journey. I graduated from medical school back in Liverpool in 2017, and at the time I wasn't really quite sure if clinical medicine was the route I wanted to go down. So I decided I was volunteering for a health tech startup based in Berlin at the time, and I was doing some medical writing for them, and decided, let me take a year out, explore my options. And I asked them if they had a full-time role available. They said yes. So I moved to Berlin and I worked full-time as a medical writer with them for a couple of years until I then moved on to other aspects of tech. I worked in UX before then starting my own businesses. So that's my transition period. And I'm currently, like you said, running health career transitions to essentially help people who were at the same stage that I was explore their options.
What's it? So let's start when you got into medical writing. So how did you get that job and what did you think of it and how long did you do it for?
Yeah, so I was introduced to it by a fellow medical student who was a friend at the time, and she had already been volunteering with this company. And what she was doing was helping them create patient information leaflets for different types of cosmetic surgeries and plastic surgeries. And so she was like, to me, they're looking for another volunteer medical student to help. Are you interested? And at the time, I just wanted to try something new. I also love assimilating content and just presenting information in an easy to digest way. So I was like, okay, sounds great. It was only a couple of hours a month, really. It wasn't a lot of time, but I really enjoyed the work. And when I decided to take a year break before starting foundation training as a doctor, I thought, I need to do something. I need to go big or go home, basically. So let me see if I can actually move to Germany and do this full time. And when they said yes, I ended up moving to Germany and then obviously started to get paid for the work. And I ended up building my own team of medical writers. I hired, the team in the end was like maybe 6 people or so, medical students and junior doctors. And I managed the medical education department of the startup. And it was so much fun. I loved it. It was really creative work as well, interestingly, because they tell you can be creative in medicine, but you can't really be that creative in medicine. So this was a fresh of breath air. And yeah, I enjoyed it so much. And my career developed from that point onwards.
Brilliant. And so what did you end up doing at the end of your time as a medical writer? What made you make your next step?
So medical writing was very much like, it helped me get my foot in the door into tech and entrepreneurship and startups. And so when I was in that environment, running my own department, I think a lot of healthcare professionals can attest to always wanting to step into the next thing, another challenge, and, more development. They're always striving for more. And so it was very much like the introduction to health tech for me. And by the end of the 2 years, I had already started to expand into other departments. I was working closely with the marketing department, with the sales department, with the product department, and I was being introduced to other roles within the sector that were really interesting to me. I never let go of my love for content. I still loved creating all forms of not just health content, but then I later became a content creator outside of that. And so I always had that as part of my process, but I was beginning to become interested in marketing and product and UX design. And so, yeah, I just decided to explore something else after leaving my full-time role as a medical writer.
Brilliant. And so how did you end up setting up health career transitions, and what kind of options do you help people learn more about?
Yeah. So when I was leaving at the time, there weren't that many options. Like, there weren't that many places I could go to for advice, for community, for an understanding of what my options are. And I spoke to a careers advisor in university. She gave me like 3 options. Medical writing wasn't even one of them, and none of them really resonated with me. So it meant that for the next like 7 years, I had to really navigate all these different career paths and jobs and roles that I had by myself. And it was only by chance that I started to meet other ex-doctors and other healthcare professionals who'd left and get interested in what they were doing. And then over time, I realized how important community was. And I always had it in the back of my mind that I wanted to create a community and resource center for people so that they didn't experience the struggle that I did at the time of leaving. So that's how, after leaving the medical writing job, I did a UX course for 6 months. And it was during the UX course that I built my first health tech startup and created a couple of businesses in between then. And it was the start of this year, end of last year. Also, I thought, you know what, this is the time to start creating a community that I've always wanted to create to help people explore alternative careers. And I don't want to give people the wrong impression that we convince anyone to leave their job. That's really not the case. It's really just about presenting people with information so that they can make the best career choices for themselves. So if by the end of it or during their time with us in the community, they decide to go part-time, or they decide actually medicine is the best career for them, or they decide to leave completely, to us, those are all wins. It's just about giving them the information to make that decision.
I love that. I think it can be really confusing when you have to make a decision as a teenager as to what degree you need to go into. And I just thought, okay, let's just do the easy option because pharmacy is vocational and I know there's going to be a job at the end of the degree. And even pharmacy has changed so much that I wouldn't get back into it now that I've gone into content creation and I understand, like you did, with marketing and product, there's so much that you can do and you don't need to be in a pharmacy or in a surgery or in a hospital every day unless that's where you want to be. And so I really love what you're doing, and I think that there's so many opportunities out there. Do you want to talk about some of the things that people are considering in the community right now?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many things. We literally just, small plug, we created an ebook called 100 Alternative Careers for Doctors. And the purpose behind it was to show people how many options you have. And I think when you're coming out of a healthcare professional role, it feels simultaneously like there are too many options and that there are very few options. And it takes a while to really navigate what you want to do and to get clear on it. And it's actually quite a long process. So lots of people in the community are interested in medical writing. And I think medical writing is a great way to start that process of exploring something new, because it's one of the, although you obviously need to do some training, you need to have some level of training and experience to get into it. It's one of the easier routes to go into, as opposed to other routes that many other people explore, such as software engineering, that requires many months of learning and training. So medical writing, software engineering, content creation, entrepreneurship, building their own health tech apps, consulting is a big one, and other really different, diverse things. Like, we have a really fantastic community member called Ellie, who talks about how she's currently working in a cafe and she's loving that service-based business and the difference in working with people in that environment compared to working in health. And she's still exploring other routes, but for now that really works for her. So it's just a range of different things.
Yeah, I love that. And I think also really depends what kind of lifestyle you want. And I think that's why I have kind of stuck with medical writing and content creation for such a long time, because it allows me to work from home. And if I need to go on a trip with my husband because he's on a work trip, that means that I can still work from there as well. It means my hours will be a little bit different depending on the time zone. But then it also means that, I can spend my morning at the gym, or I can spend, the middle of my day at the gym. I can make my lunch break 2 hours if I want to, but it means I'm working a bit later or something like that. So it means that I have like complete control and flexibility over my time, and I can also work as much or as little as I want to, depending on how much time I want for myself or whatever I'm building. And also relaxation time, we need that. So I'm not a workaholic, even though it may sound or look like it sometimes. I do spend time away from my computer screen. So what kind of lifestyle are you living now, and what are you looking forward to or planning ahead in the future?
Very similar to you, actually. I very consciously wanted to make an effort to work remotely, to work flexibly, to have more control over my own schedule, to be very, very frank. And I think it's important to be transparent and honest about these things. It does come with downsides as well. For example, sometimes overworking, less social interaction. So it can be a very lonely journey, and definitely less stable income. And I think that's one of the things that a lot of people aren't happy with. So, it's one thing to say, oh, it's fantastic, I work from home, I have my own schedule, I can work really flexibly. But please know also that the income is unstable, and it takes many years to get to a point where you can sustain yourself from that income. So maybe, if you're not ready for that, if you don't have the right financial support around you, then look into another route first, and then slowly go into something like that. But yes, that's how I'm currently working. And just to also be transparent, like, although I am building this company, I still do freelance work on the side as well to help generate some income. So it's not messy, but there's a lot going on. And that's the reality of trying to work for yourself, is you're going to have a few things going on to try and sustain yourself until that one main thing, you can make it work, basically.
Yeah, I love that. I could totally relate as well. So you'll have some months where you've got lots of clients and some months where you don't. And also, yes, you do have to be prepared, I think, as well, mentally, that you're not going to have that regular paycheck every month, and you're going to have to find multiple people to work for rather than just one. But the trade-off is you get to choose who those people are, and you get to set your own prices as well. And yeah, we can say this now because we've done it for years. We've kind of built ourselves up to the point where we feel comfortable. And I think it's important to kind of listen to this podcast in that kind of way. And yeah, is there anything else you want to mention before we wrap up?
No, I mean, the only thing I would say is, if you are watching this and you're a healthcare professional and you're interested in medical writing, or just interested in exploring something else, keep an open mind, join these free communities. Our community is free to join. There are other free communities. Your LinkedIn channel is a great one as well. Just be open to lots of different options. It's not that you have only 3 or 4 things that you can do. Your skill set can be very transferable. And even if you do require a bit more training or a bit more experience, you can get there, and you can get to a point where you feel really excited and energized by your career again. So it may not feel great right now, especially if you're on a stage where you're like, you want to leave and you don't know how to. But I promise you, if you just persevere, you stay patient, you can get to a point where you feel really great about what you're doing day to day in your work.
Yeah, I love that. And I think also, if you've got through a medical degree or any kind of healthcare or science degree, then you're very intelligent. So you've got a really great starting point, and you only need so much training to get into something new. Because again, like Hana said, you've got those transferable skills. So don't doubt yourself. Don't put yourself in a specific box, and, reach out to Hana, like, for sure. I love her community. Join it. I'll put all of her links in the description. Join everything. And yeah, thank you so much for watching or listening, and we'll see you at the next episode. Bye.
Bye.